This is the third in a 5-part mini-webinar series entitled Achieving Psychotropic Medication Reduction in Long-Term Care. Lake Superior Quality Innovation Network serves to improve healthcare for Medicare beneficiaries across the healthcare continuum through a collaboration between the following quality improvement organizations: Stratus Health of Minnesota, Medistar of Wisconsin, and MPRO of Michigan. After this webinar, learners will understand the impact of psychotropic medication use on resident quality of life and quality of care. The 2001 Office of Inspector General report entitled Psychotropic Drug Use in Nursing Homes revealed 85% of nursing home residents were prescribed psychotropic drugs and experienced functional benefit, in which the use was deemed medically appropriate. However, inappropriate use occurred in 8% of residents in the form of dosage that was too high, chronic use with no intervention for discontinuation, administration with no documentation of therapeutic benefit, and resident diagnoses that did not match the drug indication, as well as unnecessary duplication of drug therapy. Additionally, nursing home residents with the diagnosis of dementia experienced side effects associated with psychotropic drug use in classes other than antipsychotics, such as anticonvulsants, antidepressants, anxiolytics, and mood stabilizers. Side effects included agitation, mood swings, confusion, abnormal thinking, and hallucinations, as well as irregular pounding heartbeat, blackouts, and seizures. The adverse effects had prompted a decrease in overall psychotropic use and an increase in antipsychotic medication prescribing. In the 1970s, over half of nursing home residents were receiving first-generation antipsychotic medications. The Omnibus Reconciliation Act of 1987 prompted investigation into adverse events associated with first-generation antipsychotic use. The Food and Drug Administration adverse event defines an adverse event as a negative outcome caused by a drug intervention intended to treat one symptom or set of symptoms, but resulting in unintentional harm to the resident. An increase in atypical antipsychotic prescribing occurred despite off-label indications. The Food and Drug Administration approves a drug if the benefit positively impacts the patient condition and outweighs the risk of use. Atypical antipsychotics were approved for public use, and by 2011, almost 25% of nursing home residents were receiving this class of drug to treat behaviors and psychological symptoms of dementia. Atypical antipsychotics were the most popular drug class prescribed for behaviors and psychological symptoms of dementia in the first 5 years after the Food and Drug Administration approval. However, once approved, the FDA does continue to monitor medications for side effects, adverse consequences, and effectiveness based on consumer and provider feedback. Healthcare professionals and consumer reports are entered electronically into the FDA Adverse Event Reporting Systems, or FAERS. FAERS in turn releases warnings to healthcare professionals via MedWatch. In 2011, the Office of Inspector General released a second report detailing the implications of prescribing antipsychotic medications to CMS beneficiaries living with dementia, including black box warnings and adverse events in the target population of residents living in a nursing home age 65 years and older and having dementia as one of their diagnoses. The use of antipsychotic drugs has been associated with adverse events including disability, hospitalization, and even death, as well as inappropriate prescribing and administration. And finally, the report reveals unnecessary and high costs to Medicare beneficiaries associated with antipsychotic medication use. FAERS adverse drug event reporting indicated that use of first and second generation antipsychotic medications in elderly residents with dementia was associated with a significant risk of death, including an elevated risk of stroke and sudden heart failure. Additional adverse events include diabetes, increased falls, resident weight gain, seizures, Parkinsonism, nervousness, fidgeting, tardive dyskinesia, and agitation, many of the symptoms which were attempted to be relieved through medication administration. The United States Code of Federal Regulations serves to protect individuals in nursing homes by placing stringent criteria on psychotropic drug use. This criteria stipulates that residents who have not previously received psychotropics will not be prescribed them unless circumstances necessitate treatment. Residents receiving psychotropics as part of their current drug regimen will be evaluated for a gradual dose reduction with the intent to discontinue use. Residents will not receive PRN or as-needed antipsychotics unless circumstances necessitate treatment. And finally, as-needed orders expire after 14 days without resident evaluation by a physician who must document rationale for continued use. The resident quality of life, their sense of well-being, accomplishments of goals, and control over one's life are impacted by psychotropic medication intervention, as psychotropic medications affect mental processes. Quality of care involves care necessary for a resident to function at their highest possible level of physical capability, mental cognition, and relational needs. While psychotropic drugs may be necessary for some residents to maintain a higher level of function, residents experiencing adverse events secondary to an unnecessary medical intervention are negatively impacted and far from achieving their highest practicable level of self-determination. Using pharmacy reports, CASPER reports, admissions reports, nursing staff interventions, and other sources to identify residents who are currently receiving psychotropic medications is one of the ways to reduce antipsychotic medication use in your facility. Interviewing the resident family, and friends and staff to understand what activities, level of care, and other interventions contribute to resident quality of life and quality of care are the next step to take in ensuring that your residents are receiving the highest quality of care and achieving their highest quality of life. In webinar 4 of the 5-part series, we will identify alternative or non-pharmacological interventions to psychotropic medication use.